Welcome to the Lodge. You've accessed
the Lodgecast experience.
Warning, warning, dangerous spoilers ahead. Enjoy.
What's the name of this movie? Okay.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to another extra wet edition of Lockdown Hot Takes. I'm your Lodgemaster. With me as always is Brother Bishki.
How's it going?
And Brother Lucas with the mustache.
Good evening, ladies and ghouls.
And tonight, fan favorite, Brother D.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Brother D's got a beautiful, beautiful quarantine beard.
Thank you.
And a Pizza Hut hat that looks amazing.
And for the record, the Movie Lodge can only order delivery from Pizza Hut going forward because Brother Zach and I discovered that Domino's, unfortunately, donates to the GOP. So their Domino's is dead.
Domino's is very dirty, but I'm sure Pizza Hut's got a lot more dark skeletons in their closet, much like the star of tonight's film,
Oh, dear.
Mel Gibson in Force of Nature.
Co-starring Emile Hirsch, who also has some skeletons in his closet.
Yeah, it's all skeletons.
We watched a movie that has two canceled leads. These men have been canceled.
The movie should have been called #problematic.
So Mel, if you don't know about Mel's fall from grace, just the recordings that have been made of this man.
Everybody knows.
Everybody, we don't need to rehash it.
Yeah.
But just take a little trip down memory lane of the recordings. As Brother D sent me the infamous hot tub blowjob convo.
I deserve to be blown first before the fucking jacuzzi.
And Emile Hirsch is known infamously for choking out a female film executive in a bar at Sundance.
Yeah, at a party at Sundance, right?
Strangling her, and from what I understand, it was unprovoked.
And there's really
Psychotic.
nothing to provoke it that could really, unless she tried to hit him or something
unless she
like that,
pulled
that
out a
could
gun and was
justify-
gonna shoot up the party, and he was trying to stop her.
Oh,
I got
my
excited
God.
when I saw Emile Hirsch's name. I forgot he was in it. And he's one of those guys who, to me, is like, you're rolling the dice. Like, you might get something great out of him. Or it might just be
get Force of Nature coming to VOD right now.
And for the record, didn't Sandra Bullock and Ben Affleck make a movie called Force of Nature in 1999?
Forces.
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 This is the prequel. Force.
Yeah.
It should have been called Art Heist of Nature.
There is an art heist involved, which we'll get to. But before we really dive in to the wetness that is Force of Nature, Brother Bishki, do you have anything else to say on the subject of Mel Gibson?
Yeah, I've got a lot, but
This might be our final chance to kind of
I got one
talk about
story.
him.
It was December 12th, 2012, the last day of the Mayan calendar.
Oh.
And the Egyptian theater was showing Apocalypto with Mel Gibson in person.
Whoa.
We watched Apocalypto, and then Mel came out, and he was absolutely crazy. He had a handler with him that was answering most of the questions.
Oh my
And they didn't do any audience Q&A. It was
No,
just
you can't.
No, you can't. At that point, he was already canceled, and then now how is he making? But he's been relegated to VOD.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to ever get a big studio movie again. I kind of wanted him in Mad Max Fury Road because he is so crazy, and I thought the role demanded a little more crazy.
I will say, Bishki, yeah, Quentin Tarantino actually had a very astute assessment of Mad Max Fury Road, and he was originally it was going to be Mel Gibson, I think back in the mid 2000s, but because of terrorism or global terrorism, they weren't able to shoot where they wanted to, and it got shelved, and then Mel had his problems. So Tom Hardy took over the role. But Quentin Tarantino said, Mel Gibson is Mad Max. So what they should have done for Fury Road is Tom Hardy should have played the adult version of the feral wild child from the Road Warrior. So that way you could leave it open later for maybe Mel Gibson and Tom Hardy having a crossover, which will probably never happen now. But I remember starting my first job in the entertainment business in September of 2006, which I want to say was 1 month or 2 months after Mel had gotten pulled over. And when I first started,
The infamous sugar tits encounter.
Yes.
there was this letter that was going around. I guess Ari Emanuel from Endeavor at the time had written this open letter asking Hollywood to boycott Mel. And it was a big deal. I couldn't tell you how big the news cycle was for this back then. I mean, it really was earth shattering. And then 4 years after that, I'm still working the same job in entertainment. It's like a talent management company, and I'm sitting.
I think this is a Lodgecast bonus feature at this point.
Oh yeah,
It has to be.
yeah.
It has to be.
Lodgecast bonus features. Presented by Brother Lucas.
So I'm sitting in my boss's office across from his desk, like I normally did when I was monitoring calls and taking notes. And I'm on a call. I'm rolling calls with my boss, late afternoon. It was probably a Tuesday. And my BFF, who we all know and love,
Yes, the BFF.
sends me a BlackBerry message, on BlackBerry Messenger. That's how old I am. We had
Wow.
BlackBerry Messengers. And it was these really scary, ugly, Frank Booth, Blue Velvet, Daddy Wants to Fuck quotes, but they weren't from Blue Velvet. They were from some movie I didn't know, Lost Highway. I was like, what is this? And he's basically, he's not tweeting them out because Twitter doesn't exist, but he's just like a drip. He's just texting me one line at a time. And I'm
Streaming them to you.
and I'm freaking out. And so finally I'm not even allowed to take my cell phone out in front of my boss, but I do it on the down low. I'm texting him back what the fuck are you texting me? What is this? And then there's a big dramatic pause, and he finally writes back, Mel Gibson talking to the mother of his child, on these audio tapes. And I was that's the nail in the coffin
But
of
it
his
isn't.
career.
But it wasn't. It was the original Access Hollywood tape. But
Yeah.
it's for Mel, and he's still doing his thing somehow.
And as of a few weeks ago, I pointed out to you that The Passion of the Christ was going to have a sequel.
That's still coming. That's got to be coming.
Well,
Wait,
still.
he comes back from the dead?
Spoiler alert.
It's called Passion of the Christ Resurrection,
Oof.
but
No.
I refuse. Look,
it's been deleted from IMDb. So
I want to
don't
go
know.
on. I want to go on record that I am a confirmed Catholic in the Pope's holy book or whatever, and I
Right.
refuse. My favorite movie is The Last Temptation of Christ, but I refuse to
Show
watch
off.
The Passion of the Christ, which people get the two mixed up, and it makes me look weird when I say it. And I'm like, no, the David Bowie, Martin Scorsese one, and they're like, what? I refuse to see Mel Gibson's version because, to me, I've seen the trailer, I've seen the poster. I've seen the EPK interviews. To me, it's pornography.
There's a lot of torture porn.
It
in
is
that.
straight
torture
up
porn. It's so bloody.
pornography.
It's ridiculous.
It's Verotica. It's fucking Loquisha. It is Arkansas porn. It is just
It's not-
let me jerk off in front of you guys for an hour and a
It's
half.
not good. It's not good.
Yeah.
Just it's not a good movie.
Speaking of which, Force of Nature.
Force
we got to
of
talk about
Nature.
it. We got to talk about it, boys.
Oh,
we have to do it.
God. For the record, Force of Nature would have been 10 times as good, or at least twice as good, if Mel Gibson was playing Mel Gibson. If it was just
Sure.
Mel Gibson's refusing to leave his apartment in
He
Puerto
basically
Rico.
is. He's
And-
basically playing himself
And,
here.
and if Emile Hirsch played Emile Hirsch playing like a hotel security
strangler?
guard, like, you gotta go, sir. Like, the hotel's closing, and he's like, "Fuck you," I'm not going anywhere.
I do got to give the director credit though for he's not playing himself, but he is in a chair like Archie Bunker.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I got to give him credit for
Yes.
that. I got to give Mel credit for going with that because he's just
So-
he's got the Boston accent. He's in a chair like his racist
I
Archie
thought
Bunker
he
self. that
sounded
he is.
like one of the Three Stooges, and if you notice behind his chair, he had these coffee table books, and one of them was David LaChapelle.
Really.
That all links up. But listen, the director is one of the Polish brothers, Michael Polish,
Who I didn't
who
like.
was-
I saw Twin Falls, Idaho in 1999. I have not
Yes.
checked in with this guy since then.
I've never
Yes.
seen one of his movies,
Me neither.
but he's married to Kate Bosworth, so
Yes,
he
which
forced his wife
explains
to
a
be in it.
lot. Yeah.
That makes sense. Kate Bosworth appears in Force of Nature. But Michael Polish is one half of the Polish brothers, an identical twin directing team that got a lot of buzz from Twin Falls, Idaho back in the 90s. and I guess they've split up or something because Michael's here with this one. And North Fork, they also made a movie called North Fork that got some attention.
And Big Sur, where he met Kate Bosworth.
Yeah, I was never a really big fan of their movies.
No.
But here we are.
But shouldn't we tell our listeners what kind of filmmakers the Polish brothers were
Art
and
film.
compared
Art
to this
films.
movie? Because this movie is
Yeah.
like such a huge, crazy departure. Granted, it's only one of them.
This is 180 from anything that they were famous for.
Like if Terrence Malick directed like a Fast and the Furious or
Yes.
Expendables movie or
But
something.
are their art
Exactly.
films as good as like Terrence Malick?
No.
I've never seen their art films.
No.
Twin Falls, Idaho is a woof in my memory.
It's empty art house provocation that some people bought into.
Yeah.
Oh,
And the
man.
fact that they were twin brothers added to the mystique a little bit.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
should
But-
remake Dead Ringers.
Tonight's film, boys, we have to stay focused on tonight's film. The general plot is we're in Puerto Rico. The movie's shot on location in Puerto Rico. There's a hurricane a coming. There's a big old storm.
Which is based on historical fact.
Yes, and Emile Hirsch plays a police officer that is tasked with going around and making sure people are clearing out and evacuating
But
properly.
he's dressed like a security guard. So picture Emile Hirsch, like he's totally dressed like a high school cop.
Well, he's a disgraced cop too at this point, right? He's been sent
Yes.
down to desk duty because of a shooting incident where he accidentally shot his partner. Am I skipping ahead?
No.
No.
But what I thought was funny is when we meet Emile Hirsch's character, a la Mel Gibson's
Yeah.
Riggs from Lethal Weapon, he's got
Yeah.
the gun in his mouth.
It's
Yeah.
a complete Lethal Weapon homage. Lucas is
Yeah.
is demonstrating it right now perfectly. But it's not just a gun just placed in his mouth. He is like wrapping his lips around it.
He loads
and
it like he's in
closing
his
his eyes tight. It's a total homage to Martin Riggs in Lethal
But
Weapon.
it's right around that moment when I realized with the sound effects of the thunderstorm and hurricane outside that we were in student feature territory. Like this
Yeah.
is definitely
Student feature certified.
Ooh, student feature certified.
So eventually, he and his partner happen upon an apartment complex where most of the film's action is centered. And there's a group of colorful characters at this apartment complex, including an old German guy, a guy who had to go back to feed his cat. And we kind of realized that the cat might not be a house cat. There might be something else having to do with this cat, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And Mr. Mel Gibson himself, who is playing Archie Bunker as a Boston former cop, and he is refusing to move, which is what Mel Gibson would probably do in this scenario.
Yeah.
He's medically on his last couple years too. We know that.
He's
Yes.
got a hacking cough. He's got a
Yeah.
wheezing cough. But what I actually said out loud, I was like, Mel Gibson's one mode of performance in this movie is he's looking and reacting and treating all of his co-stars in front of him as if they're real police that have come to arrest him. Like
Yes.
he
Yes.
genuinely looks repulsed. Like
Yes.
why are these cops in my house? Like
Yes.
he does not look happy.
At a certain point, he takes a swig of pills, and Emile Hirsch's partner asks what they are, and he says, "Oxymorons for the pain. You want one?"
Oxymoron, good for the pain. Want one?
With that line you just quoted, which reminded me of the script and the dialogue, that the cold open is so bad.
We
There's
need to talk
there's-
about the cold
there's
open.
There's David Zayas, who played one of the cops from the Dexter TV show on Showtime years back.
Batista.
Yeah, but he's like the villain. He's like the heavy.
He's great. I love
And
that
he's a good guy. He's great. No, he's good. But like, this is how bad it is. So he's basically forcing him and his crony henchmen are forcing this old lady to give them something from a safe deposit box, which is like this really cheesy prop master painted Cubist like Picasso knockoff. And as they're leaving this crowded bank during daylight hours with like extras in the background as bank tellers and customers, the partner gets the old lady down on her knees and then he shoots her in the head and then he shoots his partner in the head. Then he gets in the car and the guy and the driver's got these glasses on and is like, where's the guy and the old lady? And he goes, and I quote, "The prune panicked, so the baby got aborted." And I just started booing. And as I started booing, it said written by Carl, like whatever his name is. And I was like, boo.
It's always nice when like there's shitty music, well, like the composer's name comes up, or there's shitty writing when the writer's name comes up.
So that the pro tip for all you screenwriters out there is don't fuck it up in the cold open. If you fuck it up in the first 3 to 5 pages, you're gonna fuck up your credit, and they're gonna remember that you're a fuck up, and they're gonna hate the rest of your movie.
But sweet Lucas, we need to talk about what a cold open is, because that's not the cold open. The movie opens with an action sequence that we don't know anything that's going on. Somebody's got a chokehold around Hirsch, and Mel Gibson's got a gun.
It's raining.
And it's
I
raining.
don't remember that. Oh my god! I watched this last night. I have no memory of that.
It's a scene that happens 40 minutes into the movie, and I guarantee it's because whoever the powers that be were like, you don't introduce Mel until 30 minutes into the movie.
That's a great
we
point.
gotta see Mel up front.
That's
we gotta
why,
see Mel up front because there's no other earthly reason. They throw us into this scene where it's chaos. We don't know any of the characters. We don't know what's going on. It's technically action, but who gives a shit? It's because they wanted Mel front loaded.
I was thinking that was
that's
maybe
true.
the climax of a previous version of the film that they had, and then they were like, we gotta fix some shit and reshoot some shit or
completely
whatever.
lost all hope for the movie right there, because if you allow that to be your opening of your movie, forget the
Dude,
the
I don't even
the
remember
prune
that.
panicking and the baby being
No,
aborted.
I don't even remember
That's
that.
the opening.
Oh,
because
man.
your brain forcibly douched it out because it's so needless.
Yeah.
No, I went back and watched it again because I was like, was this in the movie?
glutton for
Like,
punishment.
Dude, I gotta watch it right now because I have no recollection of that part of the cold open.
So the movie definitely has like latter day Travolta stink all over it. Like it feels
speed kills
like
all the way.
Speed kills. It feels like it's definitely in that zone. I did read that another actor had originally signed on to do this film. If you guys look it up,
Let me guess. Christopher Walken.
for Mel Gibson's part,
Okay, I'll take it.
Christopher
I'll take
Walken
a
is
stab.
not correct.
Oh. Harvey Keitel.
No.
I would have liked to have seen Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis is correct.
Are you
Bruce
serious?
Willis is correct.
Are you serious?
Nailed it.
Yes.
Nailed it.
He replaced Bruce Willis for this movie. And you could see Bruce Willis just as easily in this role, just
Absolutely.
this old curmudgeon.
And Bruce Willis has already been making these.
He lives in this zone right now. So there's an art heist afoot. There is a secret cache of stolen Nazi art that is in this apartment complex. And basically the whole movie is just these goons led by Batista from Dexter just kind of swarming around figuring out where the art is, and our heroes, as it were, are running afoul of them. And
Yeah. It's Die Hard in an apartment complex.
Right.
Like we're stuck with another VOD one location movie.
during a hurricane.
Yeah, which is we've done too many one location VOD movies for this.
Yeah.
But this is
period,
the recipe for a lot of movies that I enjoyed when I was younger. You know, it's like Die
Yep.
Hard, it's like Under Siege, it's like all these
Yep.
action movies that I really fucking enjoyed. So once I got that conceit, once they got the old guy, and I was like, oh, okay, so they got to protect this old guy from these guys here. He's in the wrong place at the wrong time. Okay, I'm in for this. Let's see what all you had to do was do it competently after that. And
Yeah.
I probably would have been along for the ride. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So were you on the edge of your seat for this one?
No, I was not.
I feel the movie's really more of a drama than anything. Like
Yeah.
it's not so much action or
Definitely not.
No.
adventure thriller. It's drama. There's like a lot of audition scenes. There's like a lot of just.
Which like would make sense if you're like in a high rise or something, but we're in an apartment complex and they're taking these long dramatic scenes where like Kate Bosworth is given a monologue about her dad who shoots frozen turkeys on Thanksgiving.
That is an amazing scene. I gotta call that the salad dragon.
Yeah.
The Salad Dragon. A scene in a movie that is so bizarre, baffling, or transcendent that it instantly justifies the price of admission. Or Reese Witherspoon's leafy transformation in A Wrinkle in Time.
Kate Bosworth and Emile Hirsch. Emile Hirsch, by the way, is giving off very strong AJ from Sopranos vibes, if you know what I'm
Also,
talking about.
I want to note he reminds me of the Lodge's bad boy.
Resident Bad Boy?
Resident Bad Boy. He definitely gives me Brother Jonathan vibes.
Yes. So this scene, it belongs in the pantheon of like Phoebe Cates in Gremlins mid-movie,
Yes.
totally what the fuck monologue.
Dad died in the
Absolutely.
chimney.
So basically, she's talking about growing up with her dad, Mel Gibson, and she says that you know what? I'll just play it. I'll play it right now.
My dad, he went out and bought a bunch of frozen turkeys. Not for eating them, but he brought them home to just shoot the fuck out of them all. Just filled those birds up with lead, just boom, 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 boom. Target practice. And I was really excited because I always wanted to be a doctor. And I loved it because I got to pick all the bullets out of the birds and stitch up all the holes.
Wow.
I mean, that's in this movie. That's a dramatic moment in this movie. And to me, like, that was one of the best parts because it took us away from what the movie thought it was about. It just took us into this weird side avenue. And that's the kind of shit you have to look for in these dreadful VOD movies. You just have to look for any what the fuck moments. And the other what the fuck thread going through this whole movie is this guy's cat, which lives behind this triple locked door, and you hear this growling, and you know it's like Chekhov's tiger. Like, when is it going to pounce?
Yeah.
And it does end up pouncing, but the budget is so woefully low that tiger.
I don't know what it was. I went back and I
don't know
freeze
either.
framed it.
I
I went
paused it too.
frame
I
by
paused it too.
frame. I don't know what.
It's like a jaguar or a puma or like a female lioness.
It looked like a naked mole rat.
I thought that was a salad dragon.
Yeah.
Double Dragon.
That was definitely a double dragon because
so nuts.
I thought, I was like, I had to freeze frame to try to figure out what kind of an animal this was.
Right. And they build it up. Like, you don't know what animal it's going to be. Is it going to be like a fucking ape? Or you knew it was some exotic, very powerful, dangerous animal.
But when they actually show it, it's 3 frames of like a blown up naked mole rat.
And they don't even show what happens. Like, they show the tiger attack the bad guy. And then you hear gunshots. So we're assuming they had to shoot the tiger, right? And then later, when they see their friend in the hospital bed, they're like, he's like, how'd you get out of there? Like, we fed your pet tiger, but he doesn't mention, and then we fucking killed it, so
the
we wouldn't die.
logistics of the whole thing. Yeah.
No, let's be clear. This movie was not finished. Like, they ran out of money.
Yeah, Mel Gibson has like an unceremonious departure, and I was like, well, they ran out of
But I
they ran
enjoyed
out of
that.
days. Like,
I liked that.
They ran out of days.
They shoot the shit out of Mel in a stairwell, and he gives
Sonny
like
Corleone style.
He gives a shitty little goodbye, and then he's out. He is literally in his recliner for most of this movie, and that was probably stipulated. That was probably from the Bruce Willis era. Bruce Willis was like,
so crazy.
I got to be sitting down, and Mel's like, I'll keep that stipulation.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was gnarly.
And right before that happened, another sign that they ran out of budget is and this pissed me off. They walk into this room and they're like, see, we found the fucking weapons cache. Look at there's a bazooka, there's an Uzi. And they don't use any of them.
They don't use any of it.
They don't use any of them. Could you imagine being in a video game and you get all these guns and then you just go on to the next
You try to
mission
pick
and
it up, but you can't.
Yeah.
It's just baked into the wall.
Like, what are you
Oof. And then the last line where the guy who owned the cat, who he trained to attack cops, by the way, and the bad guy puts on a police uniform, like, it telegraphs the whole thing that he's going to get attacked by this tiger. But at the end, he gets one of the pieces of Nazi art that's worth like
$200 million. Yeah.
And the final line of the movie is he's looking at the piece of art. He's laying in the hospital bed and he says, fuck, now I got to figure out how to sell this shit.
Yeah, he like mumbled it, and I was like, "What?"
end.
I was like, "What are you saying?" It's like, "Bah, hurricane."
And we cut to the song "Hurricane" by Jarek Bunton.
Here I am. Ride me like a hurricane.
Yeah, no, that's not the song.
They didn't even sing that
it was
song,
really bad.
They couldn't afford that song.
Yeah.
No.
Let's go to them nature bones. Bishki, I want your nature bones.
All right, I'll kick it off. This movie is inept. This Polish brother has not advanced in his filmmaking skills in 20 years. As I said before, the film ran out of money. I can't believe they released it in its current form because it's just like people are going to demand their money back because the ending is such a head scratcher.
They have to.
But it's 90 minutes. That's a good thing.
It's a plus.
And it's a swan song for Mad Mel. I think. Well, he's going to be I think he'll be in VOD hell for the rest of his life, along with Emile Hirsch. So we'll probably see more of him, but I don't know how much more the Lodgecast is going to cover of him. So for that last movie of Mel's that I might see, I'm going to give it one bone, being generous.
One full bone.
Yeah.
And that's a generous bone.
Yeah.
All right. Brother Lucas. Was this movie wet enough for you? You like the wet movies, but it wasn't
wet.
Underwater, though. There was no underwater shit.
It wasn't underwater, nor was it crawl. And I kind of wish it was, because there were 3 different movies I could have made out of this stew.
Is this a live rewrite?
This is a live rewrite.
Oh, shit.
Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
The first one is, once I realized that there were more dramatic scenes than action scenes, I was thinking, wow, it would be interesting if you kind of had like an ensemble drama with not just Mel Gibson, but like, Tommy Lee Jones or Morgan Freeman, and every floor there's like a different old father or old person, old actor.
Like Shortcuts in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. and it's not just Emile Hirsch and Kate Bosworth, but it's like an ensemble of young famous actors. And each person has their own floor to clear out. And we get to know these people through the course of the night. And then finally, when they convince them to like leave and vacate, it's too late. The hurricane's there and everyone has to pull together to survive. Now, the other version I could make of this is like the Judge Dredd or the Raid type movie where every neighbor has a gun and like, the hurricane's happening. And then it's like, hey, like all the neighbors turn on each other for like whatever personal petty grievances or like a vendettas or whatever. And it's like, they're all just like shooting each other up like some kind of Stephen Chow, Kung Fu Hustle type of movie.
LT's live rewrite, still batting 1,000.
I like that
still
one.
batting 1,000. I don't know how he does it.
But like, watching it as it is, I mean, it's a fundamental, like, interesting concept. Like the concept is good, but you gotta chop it up differently. I mean, I definitely had problems with like, it's like art and, like, why is Mel Gibson in Puerto Rico? Like, why is it like, why not just double it for something else? Like, you could have cheated it, like it didn't have to be Puerto Rico for any reason, I guess, except for like a couple scenes maybe where people were speaking Spanish. But the other thing I wanted to touch upon before I give my bone count is it's interesting. Like Bishke said, that Mel Gibson and Emile Hirsch, who, 10, 20 years ago, respectively, were each at the top of their game and the A-list, making franchise level movies and Oscar nominated movies. But now, they're very much jettisoned into deep space purgatory of straight to VOD. And what's interesting is I watched this because it was a drama. I was thinking like, man, like actors who are fucked up, who are also big stars, can like suppress or like ignore the fact, or be in denial of the fact that they're fucked up because they're so distracted with, Avatar or whatever big blockbuster they're making. But if you're making Force of Nature in Puerto Rico, there is no distraction. It's like whatever,
less of a cushion around it.
like exactly whatever character you're playing, whatever lines you're saying is more you than the character. So at a certain point, it's like this weird fucked up therapy, like where the actors like Mel Gibson and Emile Hirsch are like, talking about like the wrongs they've made. I mean, it's like, it's very weird. Like you can kind of look at it as like this fucked up special torture for them because they have to access emotions in the most like threadbare way. And
because it's like so many degrees closer to a home movie.
Yeah.
So you're like, this is so much closer to real. It's cutting closer to the bone.
Because I can honestly see Emile Hirsch working as like a security guard in 5 years, asking someone to like leave. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of haunting. You know? It was like,
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Like putting out his cigarette to go kick somebody off the property.
But like I gotta echo Brother Bishke and give it one bone for the concept. Like I love hurricanes. Like I wish it was like the real life like hurricane that happened in Puerto Rico, but there was some kind of cool heist with like the locals ripping off like some government gold or property or some shit. And I wish it was like fun and exciting and like that, but this was not it. Like this was definitely not it.
One bone and one bone, Brother D. What are you gonna do with this force of nature?
Let me ask first of the rules. Is the quarantine bone still available?
Oh yeah.
Or the quarantine half bone bump? Okay,
the quarantine bump. It's traditionally a half bone, but you can give it whatever kind of bump you want if you need to.
Man, it's tempting. There's so much to unpack. I watched this movie too early and I thought way too much about it. And I was like, why am I thinking so much about this movie? I watched it days ago and I was like, I just want to spit out.
You were texting me. I was trying to keep it muted.
Yeah.
You're like, I need to talk about it. I'm like, we can't talk about this yet.
It does not deserve this much thought. You know what I'm saying? Like this movie. But now that you mentioned their art house, guys, it kind of made a little more sense because I felt like there was a different, like maybe there was too many cooks in the kitchen, like somebody else came in and rewrote it because a lot of things were very contradictory. And I'll give you a prime example. This bad guy played by David Zayas, who was great. I think he's awesome. I think he's an awesome actor. They write this character that's an awesome character, John the Baptist. He knows everything. He researches
John the Baptist. I forgot about that.
But he's also vicious, right? So he's super smart, super motivated, but super vicious. But we know he's there for the money, and he's there for this art, and he does something in the movie. I don't want to give anything away in case any of you...
You can give it away.
Okay. He gets to this art room where he's been talking about these paintings that are worth $50 million, $100 million. And earlier he said how intelligent he is. He gets to this art room, and he puts the guy in front of it, and he fucking blows his brains out all over one of the paintings. He ruins a $50 million painting that we're led to believe. You know what I mean? Like that kind of contradictory character shit is infuriating. And it just seems like that maybe there was another movie where they were trying to make a more meta movie with more meta about Emile Hirsch and Mel Gibson and stuff. And then it made a lot of promises that it didn't keep. And the promises that it did made and keep were like I don't need rain in the audio track the whole fucking movie. It's a commitment that you don't need to make in a movie.
It made it hard to understand.
And same with having a character who coughs through all of his dialogue. It's a commitment you don't need to make. But when you make this commitment about this action movie, and then all of a sudden it's like these action scenes are laughable, where the guy's got a gun on Emile Hirsch, and he just like his tactic is to just reach out and grab it, and then that's how he disarms him. I don't know, man. I really thought I was going to enjoy this movie once I realized what the conceit was, but it just wasn't done well. I'm going to go one bone as well with a half bone quarantine bump.
Oh, nice. 1.5. Oh, there it is.
I just realized there was one more final third live rewrite idea, which is
we've been waiting.
It's the same movie except the midpoint, like an hour in, is the neighbor's big cat gets loose, and it is a tiger, so they all have to band together to kill the tiger. And you get to the end where Mel Gibson has to be like Sloth in the Goonies, where he's like, Sloth loves Chunk, like go. And Mel Gibson has like the Liam Neeson Wolf Showdown, and the movie's called Swimming Tiger.
I don't know about that title, but everything else is 1,000% on target.
Or The Old Man and the Sea Tiger.
I want to see that movie now.
That'd be a great movie.
Brother D, seeing Batista from Dexter reminds me of our history with Dexter.
Oh, yeah.
And which is hilarious. Dexter's a phenomenal TV show.
I love season 3 and season 4.
For most of its run.
Just watch 3 and 4. Don't watch any of the other ones. It's just
I disagree. 1 and 2 are great.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are great. But anyway, I started watching it, and Brother D was excited that I was watching it, and he was so excited that he texted something that totally ruined the end of the first season and most of the second season. And I took this in, and because the show was so good, it hurt that much worse. So I was a crouching tiger, if you will, and The Crouching Sea Tiger. And later on, when Brother D was marveling about this show called Breaking Bad, I decided to step in and with one text ruined his third season completely, and he never went back to it. The man never went back to it.
Cruel.
Never finished it. Yeah, his retaliation was devastating.
But after that arms race, we can still be friends. We can still smile. We can still laugh.
Yes.
But it was testy there for a while. I love how we're doing anything we can to get away from talking about force of nature.
It made me think of other movies the entire time. I was like,
Hard
there's
Rain,
this other movie that's better.
Assault on Precinct 13, Crawl, Trespass.
I'm not going to belabor this. I am going to give the tiger plot 1/4 of a bone and the turkey monologue 1/4 of a bone, bringing it to a grand total of 1/2 of one bone.
Woo!
No quarantine
right.
bone. Fuck this movie.
One of my favorite moments was when Kate Bosworth went to the old man's apartment and the entire scene was her just screaming at him like, "You need to leave, sir, right now. Can you hear me? We've got to go."
Thank you, Brother D.
Yes.
We'll try to get you something more nutritious next time.
No, thank you for having me. I was just happy to finally be on a prestige movie with you guys. I'm finally being respected. You know, it's like, and I appreciate that.
Hey, you started with Knives Out, and now we've floated all the
That's
way
true.
downstream to Force of
That's
Nature.
true. And I do believe that I predicted that would get 0 nominations. Did it get 0 or did it get equal
I
out?
think it's got 0.
Yeah, everyone else was talking about it. I said no nominations.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
you're
anyway.
the resident soothsayer.
But I will say I was excited to be back on, and,
Yes.
and thank you for inviting me, as always.
Of course. Well, love and light and stay dry, everybody.
Stay dry.
Love and
Get an umbrella.
Love and light.